Ryan, we'll start with the obvious and the big story. George Kirby, 14 strikeouts, looking like the George Kirby of old. What led to this? Was this kind of the buildup after these 3 starts coming off of no spring training, or what clicked for him all of a sudden?
No, I'm not going to lie to you. There was, he talked about some progression after that last rough one in Seattle. I'll be honest with you, I was really concerned. I'm not talking about because he got hit in the face, just because watching him throw, there was, times where, and this is obviously pre the Angels start, but, watching him throw, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's getting caught in the middle of the strike zone, and that's what kind of happens when he falls into trouble. He kind of gets stubborn. He stays in the strike zone. Talked to you guys about that a bunch. But there was just a lot of easy contact against him, and I was like, what is it? Is there something? Is he, showing the ball too early? Is guys seeing something? And then with his team losing 12 of the last 18, and I've said this to you guys a couple of weeks now, that the pitching will carry this team. Yeah, that's my hope, and that's what I think is going to happen. But I was a little concerned. But to see what he did yesterday, oh my God, man. I'm telling you right now, that just flipped the script. It wasn't this, honestly, I don't think it was this progression from him. I think it was a situation where something clicked early. He got out of the middle of the strike zone. That fastball at the top part of the strike zone where he's just on the attack, velocity started to creep up as the game went on. The slider was so much better, and it had that good late life to it that we haven't seen yet. And plus, too, the other marker for me with George Kirby was how do you look, 70 pitch onwards? How does he look once he gets past that 4th, 5th inning? And that's something that we hadn't seen yet. The first 3 starts, he went back over that 5th where he's finally in a rhythm against the Orioles at home, and all of a sudden he gets to pitch 75 and he hits a bit of a wall, and that's partly coming back. But this last start, that they needed that. This team, like I said, going losing 12 of the last 18. Man, did they need that out of George Kirby? And just kind of lift those spirits before getting on the plane to Arizona.
Yeah, definitely, Ryan. I mean, he's kind of a stoic guy. He doesn't say a lot, it seems like, and not a big media guy, but he just seemed so fired up. He got a little carried away in the post game there, but Brad had to apologize for him. I loved it too, man. I thought it was great, but I mean, I don't want to say okay, he's gonna. He's cracked the seal. I mean, now we're going to see this version of George Kirby, but just as a pitcher, I mean, I just remember it as a player as well. I had like a streak where I was missing tackles, and it was kind of a conscientious thing, and then it got in my head, and then I couldn't think about anything else. So now when I'm going to tackle people, I'm thinking about, not missing instead of, doing, thinking the right things. Is that kind of, do you think what happened there? I mean, it's just something clicked and it's like, oh yeah, this is how that feels. And this is what, I was last year.
Yeah, Dave, you make a great point because, for you having to go once a week, the days in between, those times are on the field, you can lose sleep because you have that doubt, you have that what if I'm trapped in this situation where I just can't execute. And for George Kirby, what happens is when you are struggling and you go out and all of a sudden you make a pitch or all of a sudden you get that swing and miss. I don't care how many iPads are in the dugout, how much data, how many Edgertronic cameras, all the rap photos and TrackMans you have. Yeah. Nothing beats that 60 feet from you feedback when you see that swing and miss. When you make a pitch and you just see a bad swing. Felix Hernandez, I remember talking to him about this. When you're going for a game plan, all of a sudden I'm like, dude, you went like X amount of changeups, or how come you just kept throwing sliders? He goes, because the hitter's telling me. And I'll never forget that. That was early on in my career. I was like, man, instead, I was really starting to pay attention to what the hitters do. And that can work both ways. And on the flip side of that, coming out of that last outing where all of a sudden everything feels fine. Everything feels good. Everyone's telling you, hey, just getting good counts and you'll be fine. But something's different 60 feet away. So when you have an outing like he did, and you just, you're getting all that swing and miss, I'm telling you, it is the best feeling in the world. Now, the trick is, and look, George Kirby, with the way he's wired, he is the best for this. He is not someone who starts to doubt himself, like the rest of us. The trick is now that when he goes into that next start, doesn't have to punch out, 10 plus or whatever, but how do I replicate? How do I just carry on that same feeling of this is where I'm at, this is how I am. and wash away the first three starts. That's the biggest thing, because we all know, man, to get to this level when you first get here as a rookie, you come up and you're like, man, you ask yourself, am I worthy of being here? Then all of a sudden you have some success. Can I maintain it? And can I maintain it for a 6-month season, or in George's case, for the next 3 to 4 months? And that's the biggest question. So what you do in between and how you wire yourself to try and replicate what you did, that's going to be the part that's going to start to snowball for George Kirby.
Ryan, what about Bryce Miller? Because on Friday, we were optimistic. Dave and I had talked to him. Dave and I talked to him after Thursday before they got on the road. 2 starts now off the IL. And he had talked so much about not feeling healthy, not feeling fully 100%. So the thought was, he comes off the IL. What are you going to see out of Bryce Miller? And it hasn't really looked much different. What have you seen out of Bryce Miller in those 2 starts, and specifically on Friday?
Yeah, he to me, he's not back to the typical. That you don't need me to tell you that. Anyone, you look at a box score and they can tell you that. But just watching, just some of the finish on his pitches. What I mean by that is, going back to that last start, he got through the first couple innings, and you look at that and go, oh wow, he's found something of this progression. I'm telling you, man, it was a battle for him from pitch 1. I was really paying attention, going, man, there's some really solid contact, just missing barrels. And then that starts to catch up to you, just like I was talking about with George Kirby. I feel like there's still a little bit of that doubt, because Bryce Miller's in that mode where you get to a place where you are in a good count, and then you try and over-execute. In other words, you miss a pitch, that breaking ball, for example, with 2 strikes, sort of a bunch of times that first outing, even in the early innings. You miss him by 3 feet. Why? Because you're overcompensating, because you're worried about pitching to contact. So he's in that mode right now. We know how good Bryce Miller can be, but I will say this. Look, Emerson Hancock's going tonight. And I got to tell you, everyone's just assuming that once Logan comes back, well, Emerson's the odd man out. If Emerson goes out and kills it tonight, and look, he knows this too, by the way, I'm telling you, man, there could be an interesting move what they do with Bryce to get him right. And that could be a situation where you may, again, I'm not saying you should, and this is not where he should be and everything else. They could essentially option him down and give Emerson some more leeway here to keep doing his thing, keep showing that consistency to make sure Bryce is right. And the other part of this is too, guys, Leody Taveras getting DFA today, and seeing when you really pull back the curtain on what he's done, Leody Taveras, I mean, you think to yourself, man, when I first looked at it, I was kind of shocked. But then I'm like, hold on a minute, he hit 190 in the month of May. He's hitting, 059 in the month of June. WRC plus was 44 in May. It's a minus number now in the month of June. All of a sudden, the Mariners are at that place where they're a couple games behind the Houston Astros. Well, they're not messing around. It's like, do it now, or we're not going to mess around here. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go ahead and get rid of Bryce Miller, but more for his own sake in regards to moving forward and having him right for that second half. I'm telling you right now, you're asking me about Bryce Miller. I think if Emerson goes out tonight, I'm curious to see what happens tonight. If Emerson goes out and deals, man, the leash could be a little shorter for Bryce Miller right now to make sure they can get him right for that second half. And that might be a situation where he may be the odd man out.
What do you like about Bryce Miller? There were so many experts before the season. We were down at spring training that were talking about he's a Cy Young candidate, and it's going back and looking at last year. I mean, the numbers definitely bear it out. But when you see him, what is unique about Bryce Miller and the pitches he throws?
I think he's fearless. In other words, when he's right, and this is what he's lacking right now. I feel like with him, it's 2-0, and there's just this confidence. Even this is going into hostile, ballparks like in Houston. It's 2-0, and he's facing Yordan Alvarez. This is what we saw before, and boom, he just drops in a third best pitch to get it back to 2-1, and all of a sudden Yordan Alvarez is kind of frozen, and then guess what? He's back in the count. So there's that element, and that's what I mean by that fearless part, where he could be in a tough count. And he's like, you know what? This is third best pitch. I don't care because I'm going to challenge you in the strike zone. We're just not seeing that from Bryce right now, and that's what I love about him, man. And he's very close to that, but it takes a lot to get back to that. The other part too, and I've said this a few times, when he first came up, the fastball, when he's backspinning that thing at the top of the strike zone, there's just foul ball after foul ball that goes straight back. I think if he can be more of that version of Bryce Miller, everything else plays off that, and it simplifies things. You don't have to over-process or over-compensate like I talked about earlier. With 2 strikes, you can live off that fastball at the top of the strike zone when he's healthy, when he's mentally healthy and everything else. And then everything else is just kind of like a, plan B if he needs it. He did that against the Cincinnati Reds, and then he went to Boston, and he showed shades of that, but just not enough. He started second-guessing that fastball a little bit at the top of the strike zone. I love him, man, when he is 2,500 RPM and 95, 96 at the top of the strike zone, and it's just foul ball behind him, and he's just on that attack. It just simplifies everything. And so he needs to get back to that.
Ryan, this offense was 2 extremes. April was very good, May, and then the first part of June here so far, it's been really on the other end. Did you see anything that led you to believe, all right, some adjustments are being made, there are some signs of progress from over the weekend? I mean, the offense put up the runs. They had the lead in all 3 games of this series, couldn't hold it in the first 2. Yeah. Did you see anything that you can kind of hang your hat on moving forward after this past weekend?
Yeah, I mean, individually, there's a couple of at-bats. Julio's, I feel like we go back and forth. We teeter back and forth with Julio. And I'm just a couple of things on him. Number one, he got down in the count a couple times, laid off pitches, got into good at-bats, and drove a couple balls, to that straightaway part of the field. That was encouraging. Polanco got the ball off the ground a little bit better. Other than that, there's an adjustment. So once I get back from New Jersey, I can't wait to hit up Kevin Seitzer and say, hey, man, is there some sort of, posture change from him to get that, that bat playing a little different? Because, man, the ground ball rate was insane in the month of May going into June from Polo, and he's such a good athlete that I was like, man, can he make an adjustment? And I know that's just, there's just a little bit more of that just simple ball getting to outfield grass around Cal Rowley, who's doing ridiculous things here, the home run rate. I mean, we can talk about Cal all day. I'm happy to. But just some of the better contact, getting mistakes in the middle of the plate and doing more damage with him outside of Cal Rowley. Because you go back to that homestand against the Orioles and the Nationals, if it wasn't Cal, it was like, all right, who else is going to step up here? There was nothing going on down the bottom of the order. I know we had a debut in the midst of it in Cole Young, but there was just really nothing happening outside of Cal. So I think seeing him down in Anaheim, against the tough Tyler Anderson, just more guys just getting the outfield grass, putting better swings on baseballs. And from an individual standpoint at the top of the lineup, if Polanco's going to stay at the top of the lineup, man, you're hoping to get the ball off the ground. He's starting to. And Julio, I feel like, is going to find some of that consistency as well.
Hey, Ryan, so you're back in New Jersey?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering about the background. It looks like my mom's front room in 1973. With the yellow.
Listen, I'm at a residence inn. I mean, not that anyone cares.
Yeah.
It's a nice little room. By the way, I don't leave the room. I sit here. I just try and cover 30 teams, study up, do my best, watch baseball. I have to stay up tonight to watch the Mariners. They're going to be up early tomorrow. It's pretty boring out here. People are like, oh, man, like MLB Network, you're going into New York City. I'm like, you kidding me? I just sit in the hotel, I eat Chipotle.
It's expensive, too, yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
Going to New York City is expensive,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not eating out in New York City. You kidding me?
I'm sure they're paying for your room, though, right? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Looking after me, that's right.
Hey, what about Canzona? I mean, I don't know if you've been following him down in Tacoma, but, it looks like his number is pretty good. And, what do you he's been up. So what do you expect from him, if anything?
Yeah, I'm happy for him. This is a move, guys, where Leody Taveras wasn't doing anything on the team. And a situation where you have a Domninic Canzona, who you do feel glass half full about if you're the front office. And he's down in AAA. Crushing the ball, by the way, hitting 300 in the month of May, hit 9 home runs since the beginning of May. So he's crushing the ball. And he's looking up, he's checking the TV every single day, checking box scores, going, man, what do I have to do? It's a grind. I've been there before. So I'm really happy for Domninic Canzona where he can come up in a call-up where it's not, hey, fill in for a couple days because of an injury. No. This is we are DFAing the person blocking your spot. We're getting rid of him, even though we paid him a little bit, and here you go. And so for him, not saying there's pressure involved in that, but he can take a breath, come up and say, you know what, I don't have to, go scorched earth here to try and prove that I can be here. I can just relax and do my thing like I've been doing at AAA. But, man, he's been crushing the ball. So really, really happy for him. He's that left-handed bat, whether he's going to platoon or off the bench. But just if you can give him a couple starts and kind of, again, see what he's all about. Like, give him that real chance to say, you know what, all right, don't come up in just a little short spurts. Come up and let's see where you're at, be a part of this team, and hopefully you can contribute.
Well, Ryan, certainly you're going to be back on Friday, right? Because there's a whole night honoring you.
That's right.
The Kangaroo
Did you guys get
Court.
some shirts or what?
We are getting them. We are getting shirts that fit.
I need a double XL,
Yeah,
man.
see, it's hard to
Don't
track
give me
one of those.
Don't give me a large or a medium.
We're trying to track down a double XL for Wyman, and then we can all wear them out on the set on Friday.
Well, put it this way, guys. I asked for extras, and they said, "Oh, is this for your friends on at Seattle Sports?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, it is." But then I got them, and I said, "Just give me like extra smalls because we're going to sell them at my baseball camps to make some extra cash." So I was going to hook you guys up, but instead I was like, you know what? I might sell them to some kids who are into kangaroos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That never happened. I'm sorry. I was hoping to hook you guys up, man. But look, hopefully you can wear them. I can come out and join you guys at Edgar's Friday afternoon.
Yeah, let's do it.
That'd be great.
All right, Ryan, enjoy the rest of the week. We will watch you on MLB Network, and then we'll see you out there on Friday.